Our next speaker is Jonathan Bell, and he'll talk about audiovisual scores and parts synchronized over the web.
Good up is the longest from projectors.
How can we do that? Headphones? Sorry.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Bell. I'm a composer currently teaching in France, Aix-Marseille University, and member of a lab called PRISM, an acronym standing for Perception, Representation, Image, Sound, Music. This new lab focuses on perception of sound. Some of its members assisted Jean-Claude Risset, who led the LMA for many years in Marseille. So my research as a composer consists in informing performers with traditional notation, or say visual input, but also with an oral input, earphones or audio scores. So I'm looking forward to hearing Mr. Borgvati's presentation, and I've enjoyed very much what I've heard so far. The performer's perception plays a crucial role here. Indeed, music notation can be understood as a sort of stimulus which the performer interprets in sometimes very unpredictable ways. But scores can also be conceived as codified representations in a more classical sense. Again, first through traditional visual means with images, symbols, solfège, but also with sounds, cues which are not yet music, but scores or representations. Hence the title of my doctoral piece is Audio Scores, a resource for composition and computer-aided performance. So for the last 10 years, my scores were made of fixed images accompanied with sounds fed into the ear of the performer, like click tracks, guide tones, spoken texts, even stage directions. But more recently, I became interested in music video, so animated notation, with mobile devices replacing paper sheet music. I've had a chance to present a paper last year at the Tenor conference in Coruña, Spain, Smartbox, a web-based distributed media player as notational tool for choral practices. Today I will present this year's updates and also some compositions using the same technology. So I would like now to explain briefly the title of my paper. What Smartbox does is just what is written on the screen. It synchronizes audiovisual scores and parts over a network. I've already said that it's multimedia, audio and visual. If we think about polyphony, I find it important to state that a web application of this sort is particularly handy to send different parts to different performers. I will then show one important update this year, which consisted in hosting the app over the internet rather than on a local server. So now Smartbox runs on the web, just like any normal website. I will then discuss the difficult problem of synchronization in order to explain why this year's update made a big difference. And for this, I have to thank my colleague Benjamin Matusevski from IRCAM Paris. I will finally present few compositional projects and pedagogical applications realized this year with this technology. So first, here's a diagram showing the architecture of the Smartbox. It is based on the server which sends and synchronizes, again, MP4 scores to the phones of the participants. This slide highlights the score and part aspect of it. In a classroom, typically the full score is displayed on the board, while each part, the soprano, tenor, bass, is displayed and heard individually on the smartphone of each student or singer. The conductor's interface finally allows to start, stop, or jump to a specific passage. So, for instance, thanks to this app, we were able to sing and tune a 40-minute repertoire of relatively complex polyphonies with the students of Aix-Marseille University. So So it has a pedagogical interest also. In this example, the server runs locally on the same network over Wi-Fi in the same room as where the participants are singing. But as I said before, a recent update allowed to host the app remotely, so not on a single Wi-Fi or VLAN, but between these networks, so the internet. So now each piece listed below can be accessed directly by typing one of those domain names, themselves pointing to several IP addresses. So typing, for instance, avignon.smartvox.eu on the internet will lead you to some pedagogical material I prepared for a class about early polyphony, in which, by the way, we talked a lot about the tenor part. The app is made of two different types of clients. On the left-hand side is displayed the singer's interface, where he can choose his part and request it to the server. On the right-hand side is the conductor's interface, which allows to start, stop a piece, or seek to a certain time in the video. You can see the seek parameter very soon. Yeah, this is the seek, so backwards, so forth. Following this update, I measured how the remoteness of the server impacted on the timeliness between devices. I did so by simply photographing several phones, measuring how much the cursor timeline differed each time. Here T1 to T6 represent 6 different photographs, and P1 to P5 represent the temporal value displayed on 5 different phones. What I call the sum here is just the addition of the delays between 4 phones according to a mean value, so as to evaluate the variability in a simple way. The lowest sum values corresponding to best synchronization performances. This measurement showed that remote hosting in many cases did not worsen the time accuracy too much, except on rare occasions where the server provoked important delays, which encourages to use the local solution at the present stage of development. Still more reliable in situations of performance particularly. The sync module refers here to the sync library developed at IRCAM by Jean-Philippe Lambert, concerned with synchronization for distributed audio rendering over heterogeneous devices in HTML5. Although the clock synchronization is not perfect and depends a lot on the phone's performances, the browser it is using, and so forth, I realized that this was not the main issue. With a large group of singers, the main problem is often due to various sorts of user interactions. When the singer puts headphones on, when the phone turns into sleep modes, etc., which all had the same effect, namely to pause or delay the singer's media player. And this is where comes in the main update this year, thanks to, again, Benjamin Matuszewski. We'll now see a bit of code which automatically syncs the phones that are late. As you will see, the code is quite simple, but musically it has a great impact on rehearsals and performances. So this is client side. The trigger sync time is common for all, so it's a sort of global clock or world clock. The sync time, on the other hand, is different for each phone. So it's an estimation by the phone itself of the delay caused between network latency, by network latency. Video current time corresponds to the timeline value of one phone. Well, anyway, so I'll skip the code and some compositional application. That was the technical side of things. Now I'd like to show you what it allows musically, what I wrote with this technology. Maybe we'll hear some things. No idea. We'll hear some stuff now, maybe. Well, first a piece called Smart Voice that we perform now every year since 2017. Let's see this. This is the electronics that I tried to imitate with voices with a choir. So, well, no, do, re sort of thing. It was like this. And well, the choir sort of they sort of matched. They sort of managed to. So it's my computer now.
Maybe a different adapter
I don't
would
think
help.
so.
Maybe it's this because it doesn't display any
Yes,
text.
even if we try to get the menu, we don't get any.
Is it back?
No, I just removed it. Yeah.
Unless your piece is very conceptual.
Okay, never mind. So the idea, I showed you beautiful spectrograms that show that they sort of match. On the left was the electronics, and on the right the sound. So let's hear another one. This is a multiphonic clarinet that was supposed to be imitated. It's the target sound that the voices try to imitate. So it's about 1,000 and 1,200 hertz. So the ratio 5 against 6 is sort of minor third. And so here's the realization. It's just the same notes, basically. 500, 600, it's an octave lower. But okay, we've heard some little bits, and let's hear the whole passage. Sorry, I'll try to go to my preferences maybe. No, but I would have something lit. So I'll play my piece again. The interest is to say that it's involving a lot of singers. Let's say we're choirs, so yeah, this pedagogical thing again, which I'm quite attached to. The clarinet sound, we said. Okay, so now we're not going to see anything. We're going to listen. This one. Can you find the fundamental? So la. When I looked on Audioscope, I was like fa sol la do fa sol la. It must be an F, but it's not an F. It's a D quarter tone higher. So it's not la sol fa do fa. No, it's not fa. It's re. Let's see. Re. You can see it. You hear a re. Sorry. Okay, so I'll show it nevertheless. So
It's working out.
the first one, yeah, just to show that those spectrograms match. I was very proud of that. So yes. And presumably you've recognized the Bach environment that is there. Later. The fractions correspond to the partials. Okay. Now this is a short extract. It's very funny. Yeah, again some Bach. You can see audio score helping singers sight singing some material in golden spear scale, the tempered scale based on all partials of the harmony series. So you can ask Georg Haidu here if you want more information about that scale. It's a fake house here. Now, the second aspect of SmartVox, which I find interesting, is its scalability. Last January, we managed to perform a piece in which nearly 90 musicians simultaneously received their score on their phone, and with a very large audience too. So using SmartVox on a much larger scale than before. I play an extract. The 5 higher staves correspond to soloists. These are about 76 young singers, the instruments. This is a recording of the concert, and it sets a text by French philosopher Michel Onfray. Run of all time, so I'll show just a little bit of the end. Again, this is a bar.roll object. And the idea is that each single staff is distributed to all the singers. So we're running out of time, so I will not present the piece that I'll show that you will hear on the Performer Lab concert on Saturday. Just I show a little bit of the score. So this is what each singer receives on his phone. Yeah. Also, I need to say that I must thank the Chelis Ensemble, who've been supporting that research for 10 years. Even through them, we have something on Société Générale Mécénat. Currently, SmartVox is being used in an opera rehearsal for opera, for singers, and on the stage. And if you'd like to hear more about this, I did a 30-minute interview on France Musique where I explain in greater detail all that. Thank you.
So, due to the technical problems, we deserve some additional time. So, time for questions.
The thing I didn't show.
Yeah.
I feel like just I was on the this is the punchline of your code. I don't know if you would mind going back because it's like an issue that I've been struggling with for a really long time too. But, what was your final solution to the synchronization? You have the. I feel like you're getting ready to give you the answer to life.
Well, the article you need to look up is the Lambert, Robacevic, and Schnell from American. Yeah, this I think they sort out this problem.
But you said you had a solution, like your trick. What was your trick?
The trick that my colleague Benjamin Malisevsky managed to code is this. The idea is just that if the phone is not in time with the global clock,
sure,
then that's what happens. The video.current time becomes transport time. So and this is according to a certain threshold. So if for any reason the phone is suddenly late or early or something, too early, too much, more than half a second, say, then it is updated.
Oh, it just jumps to.
Yeah, it's not very. It works for for scores for earphones, but you can hear glitches if it's for the electronics.
And sorry, just to follow up on that was, I noticed just very briefly in one of your articles you mentioned like Brian Fernyhough and people like this. I mean, is there any evidence of having that sort of type synchronization where you have this fairly complex micro rhythm, you can actually see people. I mean, you're showing these sort of choral pieces, which are these extended long tones. But how about like a real tight sort of complex rhythm?
We're not there yet.
Not there
That's
yet, okay.
why my research is, well, I'm going to these congresses to hope that we manage to do that soon. Now the sync is not yet great. We would say in good cases, you can say that, yeah, they have half a second delay between all parts. But when you have 90 people, you don't see it. You see it exactly in time. But it's not yet very, very precise. And obviously, if you're on, as I said, if you're on the internet, on the local network, then it becomes even greater, the delay between.
But I think, according to the paper from the EFAM on synchronization, on the local network, you get reasonable accuracy on the time synchronization, as I remember. Yes?
It's not at all the synchronization I have. They talk about milliseconds.
Yeah.
I think the problem I have is perhaps people have old phones, their browser. There's many. You need good Wi-Fi antennas, of course, and yeah, there's several factors.
Yeah, I mean, over the network, you're going to have like the speed of light problem. So you know, it'll never be solved. You know, at some point there's going to be latency, right?
Well, I was going to say it could be, yeah, speed of light. No, it could be fiber optic fiber. It could be super.
Yeah, but if you're going
tight.
halfway around the world, there's still latency at the speed of light. Yeah, so unless you go faster than the speed of light, you know.
Well, I don't know.
So, last question. Yeah.
Thanks for your presentation. I was just wondering what was your motivation for going to the internet as compared to lab, given the difficulties, and did you do remote performances or?
I would love to get into that, that area of network performances and NMP. Yes, yeah, network music performances. It's not they are local NMPs, but I'd love to go into that area and just have that this application had just an input-output video and sound, and then that would be that's the next step.
So that you stream the performance happening on one place to the other place. That's what you mean?
I'd really like to do that. Well, the SmartVox piece is, we did it with Matralab, with young choirs in the churches of Nantes and of Rouen. And I really like them, because of that word religion as well, I find it funny. So they would do a network performances between those two choirs. That's one of my dreams.
So, thanks
Thank
again.
you very much.